Today we will hear from white Americans exposing the history of racism in America towards foundational Black Americans. Check it out.
When they attack Black people after they've been murdered, when they did absolutely nothing wrong, you're pushing us to the limit. And what do I mean by that? You're asking us to talk about history, the history of the South. This is in Georgia. What happened in Georgia? There were savages in Georgia. It was the ancestors of the white right-wingers. They were absolute savages. They murdered people, they lynched people, they raped people, they enslaved people. They took babies from their mothers and sold them as property. You want to talk about savages? Your ancestors were the biggest savages the world has ever seen. So don't you dare call a Black man a savage after you murdered him. Don't you dare do that. I'm so sick of African Americans being called violent when the world's worst violence was done to them, not by them, to them, not by them. For God's sake, you want to do racist stereotypes? If it fit anywhere, and it doesn't, but if it fit anywhere, it would certainly fit white right-wingers in the South, who has hundreds of years of history of being savages. Savages. They snatched babies and they sold them as property and they raped their mothers. Savages. That's what they were. You want to talk about stereotypes? Screw all of you who still defend that Confederacy, that monstrosity. Anyone who defends that is a barbaric savage.
When someone says all white people are racist, they're not saying all white people are bad. They're saying all white people are subject to the sociological and psychological conditioning of society where racism is a fundamental systemic issue. They're saying all white people suffer from the sociological phenomenon of living in a world, in a country where racism, systemic racism, is a fundamental thing that makes that society exist. That means as white people, we have subconscious processes and behaviors that come out as a direct result of that. Behaviors that actively cause harm to other people, behaviors we need to become aware of, mindsets we need to work on.
White men are obsessed with Black men, and the statistics about porn prove it. Did you know that red states actually consume the most pornography, and specifically that interracial is one of the most popular categories, as well as transgender? If you think about it deeply, that actually makes a lot of sense, because it's probably why they are so hateful towards these groups in real life, because they know that they have a sexual fetish or fantasy about these demographics. Specifically, BNWO, which is basically white men obsessed with white women having kids that are interracial, is one of the most popular things like currently happening. And I did not learn about this of my own volition, by the way. I've had multiple people tell me about this, that white men are really turned on by the thought of like white men going extinct down the line. And this all comes down to feeling like they're losing to Black men in some way. And I think that's also why specifically BBC corn is some of the most popular on the internet right now, specifically among conservative men, because a lot of them are cunts and they like to watch their white wives or girlfriends with Black men. When you think about the comments that I've been getting, all of these things start to make a lot of sense when you know what they're into in the bedroom.
I'm sorry if you think it's too early to politicize what happened in Georgia yesterday, but I will not allow the NRA to dictate how I talk about this issue that is impacting all of us. The majority of school blank and mass blank that are happening across this country are being committed by white boys. So let me ask you this. If you're a parent, white women, what are we doing? Because this year in April, I got married, and in doing so became a bonus mom of 2 beautiful little boys. And I have to tell you, every day we're combating messaging. Every day we're working on sharing emotions, expressing anger. We're working on things as parents to ensure that we are raising emotionally healthy, mature, communicative young men in the future. So I'm really concerned that that's not happening. What I'm understanding is that yes, this is 100% a pew-pew access to pew-pew problem, but as a culture, we are raising violent human beings. The overexposure and glorification of violence in our households has to stop. You have got to get a hold of what we are showing, teaching, exposing our children to, and being better, more present parents, because this is a problem in white households. So if we are white parents, we have to do something about it.
As white people, there is no room for us to just be not racist. You have to be anti-racist, especially with 3 Black men hanged in just the past few months. Black men do not kill themselves by hanging. We lost Trey Reed, Kyle Bazinga, and Javon Given, all because of someone's racism, hatred, and bigotry. Us white people need to be calling our people out in these spaces. No more of this, oh, well, it's grandpa, he's just racist, that's just how he is. Oh, Mitchell might be racist, but we only go to the gym together. That's just how he was raised. Stop with this shit. These people need to be shunned, removed from our society. These people grew up in a different generation. Yes, they did, but they need to be willing and open to learning. It's a sad truth, but in the United States, every single white person is indoctrinated into racism from a young age. And it's not a person of color's responsibility to help you unlearn that. White people need to be holding other white people accountable. If you want to use even the smallest amount of your white privilege for good, then you need to be fighting for people of color behind their backs in every single circumstance. You need to be fighting and speaking out against these very systems that we, white people, put in place to make their lives difficult. Complacency in the face of racism is unacceptable, and it does just as much damage as the racism itself. You are no better than a racist when you let someone get away with it. It is your direct responsibility, our direct responsibility, to hold these people accountable. Doing nothing doesn't mean you're safe from conflict, it means you're an accomplice. So if you want to relinquish some of the disgusting power that this deplorable system has created around you, then you need to destroy its roots within you first. Everything you do and do not do matters, and it affects the lives of everyone around you. Your words hold power, and your silence does too.
My family is racist. Let's talk about it. Specifically, my brothers, they were just making jokes about if there was a white man and a black man in front of you guys and they were both aggressive and you had a gun, which one would you kill first? And they didn't say it was the white man. First of all, what kind of freaking question is that? Second of all, that's not funny. Third of all, when I get defensive and I'm like, well, that is really messed up to say, don't say that. The statistics in America. According to statistics in America. Then let's go to ChatGPT to clarify the statistic in America. It's so messed up. And I called them out for being racist. And one of them was like, yeah, I'm racist and I'm proud to be racist. What the frick? And it's so crazy that this is happening. And I think what's worse is the fact that I'm related to them. How embarrassing. And what's even worse is how much they don't care. That is so freaking crazy to me. They call every Hispanic person that looks even slightly Hispanic Mexican. They call all Asians Chinese. And they don't even want to learn that there's a difference. And you know what sucks even more is that we're all doing this in the name of Jesus and God. And that God would be pro-ICE. And that Jesus would be pro-Trump. And I'm never have I wanted nothing to do more with you guys in my life. I'm laughing because of not because it's funny, but because it's my dog. It's a nervous response. What? And no wonder the black community is always on guard with people like this. No wonder anytime people hears that you love Jesus or you love God, they want to run. It's because of this. Anyways, it's just heartbreaking, frustrating. And I don't even really care that I'm deemed the sensitive one, the emotional one, because I'm constantly calling them out. I'm the victim and I'm always trying to pick a fight. But I'm really proud of myself for every time anything has been said, I have stuck up. I've been you can't say that. That is not just disrespectful. That is racist. They throw around the N-word like it's funny. My white brothers. What? You can't say that. And then anytime I call them out for saying that, they say it even more. Because they can do whatever they want. And their excuse is that America is a free country and we have the freedom of speech. What? And I'm not crying because I feel taken out or beaten down. I'm weeping because this is what's wrong with this world. This is why we have so much hate. And it's so frustrating because we're the problem. And in a way, I'm encouraged that there's people like me and the friends I have at home that are not like this. I will call you out if you're being racist. I will call you out if you're being insensitive. And I'm really proud of that because that used to not be me. And I'm not scared of people anymore. It's just also really sad that it's we know that this is happening, but it makes it a million times worse when it's your family.
problem with racism in America is that too many white people believe it's simply about conscious hate, about burning crosses, slurs, or open hostility. But racism is much bigger, much deeper, and far more deceptive than that. Racism is not just a personal attitude, it's a system. A complex network of social, political, and economic levers and pulleys set up generations ago to keep working on behalf of white people, whether they're aware of it or not. This system operates like an autopilot of inequality. It doesn't need a racist person to function, it just needs the system to stay in place. Schools that favor certain zip codes, job markets that overlook certain names, police systems that criminalize certain skin tones, and court systems that excuse certain crimes. Racism is an insidious cultural disease. It doesn't care if you're a white person who claims to love black people. It will still find a way to infect how you see, judge, and treat people who don't look like you. It shows up in policies, in hiring decisions, in zoning laws, in neighborhood watch calls, and even in the quiet silence of those who claim neutrality while standing inside unjust systems. Yes, racism often looks like hate, but hate is just one symptom. It also looks like privilege, unearned advantages that white people inherit simply by existing in a world designed for them. It looks like access, the ability to move freely through systems that block others. And it looks like ignorance, the refusal to learn, to listen, to acknowledge that the playing field has never been equal. Even America's so-called fair systems carry the fingerprints of white supremacy. Look at fair housing alliances, equal opportunity programs, or even the justice system itself. Scratch the surface and you'll find the same pattern. White people create, fund, and control the very systems that claim to fix the problems they caused. They write the rules, enforce the rules, and then tell the oppressed to play by those rules. It's like a magician's trick, creating both the problem and the illusion of the solution. And nowhere is this hypocrisy clearer than in the white church. For centuries, churches and seminaries have tried to separate Christian identity from the violence committed against black people. They preach forgiveness and charity while standing silent on slavery, segregation, as if the gospel of Christ could coexist with the whip, the rope, and the burning cross. Don't talk about charity drives. The Ku Klux Klan had poor relief programs too, but that didn't make it any less of a terrorist organization. Church records from Klan meetings show dues, elections, and even charity work, all while spreading terror among black families. And to this day, the white church still hasn't fully owned up to its role in sanctifying and protecting racial violence in America. This refusal to confront the violence embedded in America's religious institutions explains why every other form of violence, from mass shootings to police brutality, continues unchecked. You cannot build peace on top of unacknowledged terror. Then there's capitalism, which feeds off racism like a parasite. The cries for law and order and hard work are rarely about justice or morality. They're about protecting a thing-oriented society, not a people-oriented one. Capitalism turns human beings into profit margins and labor tools, dehumanizing those at the bottom, who, conveniently, are overwhelmingly black people. White supremacy and capitalism are twins, born of greed, sustained by fear, and justified by myths of superiority. You can't dismantle racism without also confronting the capitalistic spirit that measures worth by wealth instead of humanity. And that fear, that deep, centuries-old white fear, is the real heartbeat of racism. Fear of losing control, fear of equality, fear of accountability. From the plantation to the police station, that fear has been the fuel. It's why laws were written to limit black progress. It's why black neighborhoods are underfunded. It's why every black movement for justice is met with suspicion and backlash. This nation was built on a foundation of bias, bigotry, and control, and that indoctrination was handed down through generations. It's so ingrained that it feels normal, even to those who claim to reject racism. And yet, here we are, still fighting for equality in education, housing, healthcare, employment, and justice, the same battles our ancestors fought a century ago. So the real question is not why black people are still angry, but why white America is still comfortable. Why is it that wherever black people live, work, or rise, someone always has a problem with it? That problem isn't ours, it's theirs. Racism is not a black problem. It's a white problem that infects the entire society. Tell me what you think about this topic. Hope you find the information in this video informative. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Thanks for watching.